everyone, welcome back to the show today. I'm Tim Cianfano, and today I'm here interviewing the wonderful Mr. Sansone. Mr. Sansone.
Nice to see you.
Now, the first question I have for you today is, obviously, you're a new teacher in the district, so what do you think of Hopewell so far?
Hopewell is the most wonderful school I've ever worked in. Student body's great. Everyone seems to be happy in the school. Teachers are happy. I've never worked in a school where teachers are smiling so much.
Well, that's great. Well, what school were you at right before this?
I worked in Glen Rock.
Glen Rock. Now,
That's up in Bergen County.
Bergen County?
Yeah.
What other schools have you worked in as well?
I worked in my local school in Bricktown. And prior to that, I worked in New York City for 18 years.
New York City. How was New York City?
Pretty rugged compared to this Hopewell, New Jersey.
Well, one can imagine. Well, what kind of stuff went on in New York, in the good old New York schools?
Students, police department coming at least once a week to the school for a visit. I worked in schools that had metal detectors at the doors. I worked at schools that had riots. So riots. You can see why I like Hopewell so much.
I can say, don't understand why people are complaining compared to that. Oh, yes. My goodness. Have any stories from those? I do have a friend of mine was he was an airborne reservist in the military, and he kept a knotted rope in his desk drawer. His classroom was on the 3rd floor, and a riot broke out in the school, and he tied it off to the radiator and climbed down the building and went home. Oh my goodness.
Yes, he left.
Oh my.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Oh, well, anything else, or?
No, nothing that cute. Usually pretty depressing things happen.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say the one thing you miss about New York? Didn't you grow up in New York?
I grew up in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yep.
Brooklyn. Wow, where in Brooklyn?
An area called Park Slope. Right next to Prospect Park.
So, what would you say the one thing you miss about the city is?
Food.
Food. Yes.
Food. A lot of the atmosphere. As long as you're not in Manhattan, it's not really crowded. Brooklyn's not as crowded as the city. That's what people prefer to. I mean, New Yorkers call Manhattan. We call it the city. Even though we're part of the city, one of the boroughs, yeah.
That's good.
Food, atmosphere, neighborhood. I don't have to, even though I live in Bricktown, and it's a small town, I don't have a neighborhood. I know my 2 neighbors on either side of me, but in Brooklyn, I knew the neighborhood. People who ran the store, the people that owned the stores and stuff.
Oh my God.
You don't have that here.
I've always wondered that myself. What about Bricktown? Like, Bricktown's right on the coast, correct?
Bricktown's right on the coast, yes. We were devastated by Hurricane Sandy. It's a good town. It's a good town. People work together. I'm involved with politics in town. My wife and I are county committee people. We get out the vote. That's all we do.
Awesome. What about housing committee?
Housing authority. I'm a housing authority commissioner. I sit on a board. Where we have a pretty special housing authority. It's just for senior citizens and disabled people. About 350 apartments we have. So it's not too small. It's pretty big.
That's understandable. Yeah. Now, one thing I remember hearing, somebody told me this, is that when you worked at one of your schools, the school sent everyone on not a mission trip, but just a trip to some Central American country after Hurricane Andrew?
Yeah, after Hurricane Andrew, not Central American country, we went to Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
That was when I first started teaching. We went to Puerto Rico to work on a school that was destroyed by a hurricane. And we were there for 3 months. It was pretty good. It was an interesting little.
What was some of the stuff you built there?
We worked on the school itself. It was heavy construction. It wasn't like light construction. We weren't painting. Yeah. We were putting up cinder block and roofing.
Moly.
Yeah.
Holy moly! Well, how about? Do you have any kids that go to the school, or do they go somewhere else?
My children?
Yes, your children.
My children. My daughter is in Stevens Institute. She's becoming an engineer, ocean engineering. And my son is an aspiring fireman, sophomore in our local high school.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
You have a wife as well?
My wife is a teacher. She's a special ed teacher in our district.
Oh, isn't that fantastic?
District, yeah.
So, what about Hopewell itself? Like, what are some other things you think about? Like,
I haven't seen a lot of Hopewell. I haven't, other than the pizzeria and the school itself. I don't spend much time here. Obviously, at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to getting through the traffic and getting home. Yeah.
That must be. How long's your commute?
It's just about an hour. It's not too bad. I compare it to New York City. I lived in Brooklyn and got on the subway and stood up for an hour and a half holding
holding on to the strap, and I was only 15 miles to get to the Midtown Manhattan. So, so getting in my car and having a cup of coffee and listening to the radio is still a pleasure.
I can see why. Speaking of music, I always, whenever I happen to walk by in the hallway, every day it's something new.
In my classroom, yeah.
Your classroom, or whenever you're right on the 100 hall perch, right near the nurse's office?
Yeah, I always listen to music. I love music. I think I told you the only thing I don't like is rap. Other than that, I listen to all types of music: Spanish, opera. I listen to country music. Anything I can listen to. Big bands, 30s music. Pretty good. Pretty good.
What was the most recent thing you were listening to?
Actually, I think I told you a little while ago. I wasn't listening to anything today.
Oh, that's a shame.
But yesterday, I think I was listening to what was I listening to yesterday? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember really. I was listening to. They had some good music on.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It all kind of blends in there.
Yeah, it does. You just sort of just play it out loud long enough. You start hearing it. Now, do you have any other friends here at the school? Like, what teachers are you from?
Mr. C in the auto shop.
Carnation.
He's a friend of mine. Yeah. What I like most about the school is this shop is absolutely phenomenal. The wood shop is a great facility you have here. And I've been told it's even an air-conditioned shop. I've never worked in a school shop that was air-conditioned. I can't wait for the weather to get warmer.
Oh my gosh.
The program here, it's going to change a little bit under me. We're starting to make smaller projects. No 3-year projects are going to be made anymore. I have a lot of students there's a couple of grandfather clocks sitting in the back room that are just being finished. That's too long a project. I would prefer to do a shorter project with the students. That's something to last a semester. We're also starting to experiment with making archery bows.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I've talked to the people in robotics. They have some extra fiberglass that we can be using to between the laminates of the wood. Yeah.
Isn't
to stiffen the whole thing up. Yeah. So we're going to be changing things around a little bit.
That's fantastic.
Yep. And I always have music on during my class, except when I'm lecturing. Then I obviously turn it off.
Oh, that's great. What do you think of the students?
I haven't had, there's no problems I've had with any one of the students in this school yet.
Wow.
When you come from a school district, when I worked in New York, where you had 3 students in the classroom that wanted to learn and 28 that didn't, this is drastically different. I may have one student that is not into it today, but the rest of the class is all working real hard. They enjoy what they're doing.
That's great.
It's a pleasure.
That sounds fantastic.
Yes.
Well, have you tried any other restaurants? Right? There's a lot of restaurants.
Nope, just the pizzeria. Yeah. Just the pizzeria.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, tell me more about just growing up in Brooklyn.
Growing up in Brooklyn.
How was that? I remember you telling me it was a lot different than it is today.
It's definitely a lot different than it is today. Remember I told you we knew everyone. Wow. If I got in trouble down the street, somebody was on the phone calling my mother and telling her about it beforehand. What's different about Brooklyn is I lived in a neighborhood where there were apartment buildings and some private homes, and for each 1 block square area, maybe 2 blocks would be the population of Hopewell. Hopewell being a small town, yeah, the population in that small area of 2 square blocks would equal to the amount of people living here in Hopewell.
Holy
moly.
A
lot of people.
Great googly moogly.
Yep. My uncles, one uncle was a butcher. He had a butcher shop. I had another uncle who was a tile setter. My dad and my other uncle were carpenters. And from the age of about 13 years old, I never had a free weekend. So after that, I was working with all of them somewhere, somehow, sometime.
Keep them busy.
Yep, learning.
Never stop learning.
Yep.
That's one thing I've always learned.
Yep.
Now, what's something about Hopewell that you haven't understood yet? Like maybe you just saw it and either you didn't like it or you just don't get it.
I'm amazed at you were talking about the school, or you're talking about the area?
We'll start with the school.
I think it's great that you have lunch all at once, and everyone seems to be in their own areas, even in the halls, clean up after themselves. I've never seen anything like that.
Really?
Yeah, other schools that wouldn't happen. They'd be eating, leaving a pile of trash behind themselves.
I see a couple of smart kids just leave like a bag of chips there.
That could just be absent-mindedness. I don't think they do it on purpose.
Yeah, it's probably
expecting others to clean up after them. I don't know. It's the area is very nice. It's very quiet. I think it's great the way you have all these homes, and then you go a half a block and. I mean, a half a mile down the road here, and you have all these fields. I can't wait for the corn or whatever they're going to grow in this area.
There's a lot of farmers in the area, a lot of local farms.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
It's very cool. Just taking a drive like down the fields.
They're green grocers around here?
There's I forget the name. There's an orchard. I know that, like more around fall.
Okay.
They really have a lot of stuff going on. But other than that, it's a nice place. But, well, it seems we're out of time today. Sir, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Wonderful having you on the show.
I'm happy to be here.
Say goodbye to everybody else.
Bye.
All right, then. Have a wonderful day, everybody.